Welcome back to the Narcissist's Bag of Tricks. Tonight's kind of a two-part thing dealing with the same terms, which we will discuss here. But I recall back in high school when I was taking some kind of, who knows what kind of generic class, but they taught us a concept called bait and switch. That was one of the things of my high school experience that actually stuck in my head. And I'm going to try to relate it to the narcissistic personality disorder deal and the original meaning. So the original meaning of bait and switch would be, as I give examples, would be you've decided you really need a new television, but you're going to go to the mall to get a drink of Orange Julius. But you drive in your car and you get near the mall and you see a sign on a store in a big window that says 50-inch high definition TV, $10. Well, that captures your attention. So what do? Well, you park your car and you truck on in there, and the clerk comes to you and says, "Hi, what can I do for you?" And you say, "I'm interested in the $10 TVs. I need a new TV." Well, the clerk then tells you, "Oh, I'm sorry, we're all sold out of the $10 TVs, but let me show you this one. It's almost just like that one, but it is $500. But you should take a look." Well, that's bait and switch. The bait is the sign that says $10 TV, which you, the consumer, sees and comes on in because you want the $10 TV, but then once you get there, there are no $10 TVs, darn, but you could spend $500 and have one very similar. Well, that's great. That's a scam, which some kind of cluster B toxic person invented. Well, let's take this term and apply it to when you deal with a cluster bead person, whether it's a sociopath, a psychopath, a narcissistic personality. That doesn't matter. The point of it is that it's we're using the same terminology, bait and switch. The problem here is, though, or the difference is, with the one first example, it was like snap, quick, straight to the point. You saw the sign, which is the bait. You came in and you were switched, and whatever you did, we don't know. You might have bought the $500 one, or you might have just said, "I'll think about it." Doesn't matter. The point was there was a bait and a switch. Well, with the cluster B person, it's very similar. It's just on a slower level. It's like a videotape of life, but put in very slow motion when you're experiencing it. And what I mean by this is, for example, the typical situation is you, the nice person, happens to meet the as yet unidentified cluster B person who is like, "Oh my goodness, I love your hair. Oh my goodness." And you might react to that because you spent an extra 5 minutes on it tonight, and you think, "Oh, he can see or she can see oh, thanks." And you see the person again and again. It could be every night or every other night, but regardless, if you say something like, "I don't really like to get involved with people because the last person I was with was really dishonest," well, this person will be like, "Oh, well, you're lucky you're with me. I'm never dishonest." And this is all piece and part of the bait, which is equivalent to the sign in the window. It's just not a sign. It's just slowly pieced. So if later you say, "Oh, I don't really like to date because so many people like to steal things from my home," well, then the bait will be, "Oh, I would never steal from anyone." So you'll hear all this. Well, it's usually a slow, drawn-out process, especially if you were a previous target of some kind of abuse. So the bait becomes apparent if you continue to spend time, because chances are, if you're dealing with a toxic cluster B, whatever, They're going to make sure that every need of yours is covered, plus ones you didn't even know you had. So you're going to be seeing this and thinking, wow, no one has ever treated me like this. And then, of course, the person's going to deal with the, I just need to know where we stand. We've been seeing each other for 3 days in a row. Where do I stand? And that's the crap red flag to look out for when somebody says that. But regardless, you may think, wow, this is a miracle. How could I find someone who is so similar to everything about me? Oh, and I even passed gas, and he saw it and heard it and smelled it, and he didn't even mind. Oh, and you think, oh my goodness, well, that's the bait, and you're taking it. So you take the bait. Just like you saw the sign at the store, it's again just much slower. So what ends up happening, this is all a summarization, but you like what you hear and see, and you feel comfortable because you might have had a hang-up about your often gas-passing instances, and yet this person's saying, ooh, it smells good like cherries. And you're thinking, oh my. Well, it's all part of the act, but that's all part of the bait. So you may then, as I always say, when they hook their claws in you, which is basically you like what they're doing and think you hit the jackpot by random, found the perfect person who understands everything about you, and you take it further, and the person might say, oh, I'm getting evicted. And with all this flattery and whatever else, you may be tempted to say, oh, come stay with me. I'll take care of you. Because you like the drug brain feeling of someone flattering you and seeing the things about you that you knew were there but didn't think anyone saw, but this one appears to see. Well, again, it's all part of the bait. So you make things more permanent. You start deciding, well, let's buy this property together, let's buy that together, let's do this together, and you're just like in heaven on top of the world, kind of like the person going to the store thinking, wow, I'm going to get a TV for $10. Well, that was all the bait. Well, once you've finally settled in, or the person hooked their claws into you, then guess what happens? It's the switch, which I've seen this so many times, and it got to the point where I was like thinking, okay, when's it going to happen? Because it does. And basically, once you've gotten in, once you are secured and in a place where you can't escape easily, then the mask falls off. And all of a sudden, you're dealing with the switch, which is a completely different personality from the one you've been with all this time. And for the regular human being, that it can be quite traumatic. Because normally when we meet a person and we see them a few times, we assimilate that, okay, well, I know what to expect from this person. Oh, he's probably going to do this and probably going to do that. But then all of a sudden, it's like it's a different person. And it's shocking because you don't know how to take it. But what they're doing is, again, they baited you, and then once you got there and they switch, there's something else. And, of course, by then you're too intertwined to just, like, run away. So then you go through your mental processes of, I don't want to believe that this person deliberately pretended to be what it was, when now it's like a stranger, and you don't want to accept the fact that you would have been so foolish to fall for such a thing. So in conclusion, bait and switch has two meanings now. Have a great night.